Okay, we'll call the meeting to order in a moment of silent reflection. Let us take a moment of silent reflection to contemplate in our own way the responsibility we have to collectively use our skills and experience to ensure the mutual long-term benefit of our municipality and those we represent. The roll call, please.
Mayor Reed.
Present.
Councilor Chartrand.
Here.
Councilor Foote.
I'm here.
Councilor McKay.
Here.
Councilor Villeneuve.
Here.
Thank you. I'd ask Councilor Foote if you'd recite the municipal vision and mission statements, please.
Okay, Mary. The HCM mission, at your service, working effectively to bring together people, partnerships, and a potential for a strong, connected community. HCM vision, providing a healthy, connected, and sustainable community teeming with possibilities for our citizens now and into the future.
Thank you, Councilor Foote. Disclosure, pecuniary interest or general nature thereof. The presentation from the county will be rescheduled for January. Adoption of the previous minutes. Moved by Councilor McKay, seconded by Councilor Chartrand. Be it resolved that the minutes of the regular meeting of Tuesday, November the 14th, 2017, be accepted as presented. Question?
So 12 II, Councilor Villeneuve vacated the table at 2007. That should be 2027. And I'd like the assumedly due to a perceived conflict of interest struck.
Mayor Reed, if I might, the minutes are actually the minutes of the recording secretary, and because nothing was said, that assumption was made and it's explained, so I suggest that it remains there. We're to correct errors and omissions.
So what you're saying is we should do the remission for the time.
Yeah, and the rest just stays.
Anything else towards that article? So the revision will be made. Anything else? Hearing nothing else, we'll take a vote on it. All in favor? Yeah. All opposed?
No.
Okay, recorded vote, please.
Councilor Chartrand?
Accept. Yes.
Councilor Foote?
Yes?
Councilor McKay?
Yes.
Mayor Reed?
Yes.
And Councilor Villeneuve?
No.
The motion's carried.
Motion carried. Okay, we have minutes of the, none for the Rosemary.
No, I have not been provided with any, Bob.
Okay. Library Board, we have September the 6th, 17,
Yeah.
October the 4th, 17, and November the 1st, 17. Anything to say towards those? Now, I have this article inserted in between from North Renfrew. Does that come up in your report
It's in my clerk's
for the
report.
donation? Okay.
Yes.
Recreation Committee on petitions and correspondence. Information only unless there's something you think that needs to be brought forward.
You want to run through, Mayor Reed, or shall I? I have one, I have a question on, but it's
Second.
number 3, but maybe somebody has questions on 1 or 2.
Yeah, I have a question about number 2,
Okay, go ahead.
the Missing Link Snowmobile Club. So, they were saying that, the things hadn't been accomplished. Were they accomplished?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. no,
Okay,
they're all
that's what I
done.
thought, okay. So I was just checking on that.
Yeah,
Okay.
okay.
Okay, you're going to number 3?
I'm going to number 3. It seems Mr. Elder petitioned us a meeting or 2 ago to ask for a waiver on the lease for his railway crossing. It looks to me from this document that he'll have to pay.
Yeah, and I'd kind of like to have staff to look into that, because is the county going to come up here and look after that crossing? Because if they're not, what's he paying for?
Yeah.
Just a right of way across their property. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's a guess to me, but that's what they say.
Okay.
They just want their money.
Yes.
Yeah, because I don't think it was done earlier when the rail was crossing it every day. I don't think there's any need of that now,
No.
but maybe I'm wrong, but I'd ask staff to
Yeah,
look
it'd be
into
good to
it.
get some
It
information.
wouldn't hurt to query it again, would it?
I mean, as far as us running the plow over and making sure that it's accessible, I don't see a problem with that.
The only thing I can see,
We don't plow it, they don't.
We don't plow it
No,
anyway, so.
maybe they're saying we own the credit. You see,
No.
No, we
well,
don't.
that's what, not Mr. Davis, but Craig Kelly told me in an email quite a while ago, that they feel they might inherit the crossings as well as the rail bed. They'll know for sure in April, so I'm just guessing
Okay.
that they are working on that premise. Maybe they're not going to be, but that would be something to sort out soon.
Some of them potentially, some of the private ones, perhaps.
Well, they even said that one. Well, that's what he
Mr.
told
Elders, you
me.
mean?
Yeah, look at,
Yes,
when he comes
Mr.
up for a
Elders,
deputation,
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Mr. Elders is a private crossing, so yes, that would be one that would be assumed. That's what they think is to happen.
yeah, yeah,
And may very well be.
yeah. So we can ask Davis when he comes up. Would be worth a while.
Just a little clarity
Yeah.
of some sort.
Yeah, yeah. Alrighty,
On behalf of the elders, I personally don't think they should have to pay it, but my opinion is not the county, so we'll have to see what goes on.
yeah. I had Mayor Reed number 4.
Yeah,
My question was, would be, have we done anything on this, Melinda? The letter of support? I thought we did.
I believe Mary Reed has, you can speak to the actions you've taken, but I have not done anything.
yeah, I did give my support
Okay.
in the fact of getting the relicensing done.
Yep.
I know there is an opposition out there because of the waste facility that they're trying to get going.
Yes, yes.
But on the other hand, a good deal of our, not so much in our township, but a good deal with the community, Deep River, Chalk River,
Yes.
if CNL does close up, yeah, there'll be a few jobs for quite a few years yet. but how many people are gonna lose their jobs?
They say-
There's things that they need to sort out amongst themselves as well,
Yeah.
that I won't get into because I'm not a physicist.
No.
But I believe we should be supporting them, getting relicensed, getting
Yes.
back up and running.
Well, the opposition mainly comes from Quebec. If you notice the,
A
somewhere
lot,
along-
a lot of it, yes.
Yeah.
If you read the paperwork and the past paperwork,
Yeah.
Well, it's like anything else. You have a proposition, and there's always somebody or some people willing to argue in, the opposite direction. So it's, I think it should be supported because it does indirectly benefit us.
well, 5 deals with the other half of the quotation there about,
Yeah, the dump.
the public pressure,
Yeah.
CNL about being an above-ground mega dump.
Yeah.
So, Nicole's email gives directions to submit letters. Do I
Yes.
hear then that council would like to submit a letter
Of support.
of
Yeah.
support?
Is
through-
that
okay.
agreeable with your council?
What's anybody
Yes.
else got to say?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I agree.
Okay, do we have to vote on that, Mary, or?
We should vote on it, should we not? Or do we need to? We're in agreement,
Yeah.
basically?
Yeah, yay,
Send a letter of support?
okay. That's down. The next one up for me is 8, but somebody else
Yeah.
may have some interim. And I can't even recall why I put down 8, but I'll find out in a second. I can go through, there's a lot of stuff here. Number 8.
I've received some more information about that one.
Yeah, I just wondered about that we don't have a heritage site in Seafair Bridges, but does anybody else?
Not in the aspect of the Bissett's Bridge,
Okay,
they're gonna shore it up and repair it
yeah,
and close it off. It's deemed unsafe.
okay, so
They're
they're
gonna
just
trench
gonna,
it and put berms up, but they're trying to leave it as a heritage site
okay,
because it's the only where in North America that navigatable waters, the highway and the railway intersected.
Ah,
well, I'll be
So-
damned.
interesting.
Unless we get the ball rolling on getting it declared a heritage site, which I think we could in the future. They're just trying to save it for the now.
Yeah.
They're gonna repair both the overpasses, the one here at Stonecliff
Yeah,
and the one at Bissett's, because the concrete is crumbling and
yeah,
the metal is starting to fatigue. But that's all they're doing. They're only doing maintenance work to keep it safe for now.
yeah. I don't even know, number one, if it will ever be a snowmobile or a mechanized trail across those bridges. Have to do some work, so I'm really wondering if it's even worthwhile.
From what I understand, the repairs on the Bissett Bridge would be too substantial.
Yeah,
It's okay to let it stand,
stand,
but to put it back into use, it would probably
Already.
never happen.
okay.
But again, we can visit that in the future and
Okay,
we'll get a report from them as they're working.
yeah, okay,
They just dropped another letter saying that they would the company that's doing it would look after the general highway and traffic control.
one last question, Mary Reed, who's paying for this? Not us, of course, would it be the upper tier?
MTO.
Oh, MTO.
Yeah,
okay,
it was
fair enough.
announced and I was
Yeah,
gonna
I
get
did,
that later
I'd forgotten.
in my report, but
Okay, fair enough.
anything else in the package? that
Not for me.
you want
I
brought
had
forward?
number 15, unless somebody has something before number 15.
No,
No, I was just wondering what, so it says, when I researched what a transient accommodation is, it just came up as hotels, Airbnbs. Will that apply to like campgrounds and cabin rentals, or we don't know yet,
I
or?
haven't looked into the legislation specifically, but it's, what's the word I want? It's directed by council. So if council doesn't wish to move in this direction, it's
Oh,
not like
okay.
the province is downloading anything
Oh,
on
okay.
us. So that's
It's
why
not a mandatory.
No, and so I haven't taken the time, I haven't had the time to look into it, but
Yeah, I just wondered what it all involved, because when I was researching transient accommodations, it just came like,
Yeah,
You
and
know,
also, Councillor
Never.
McKay. Anyway, getting back, did you find out anything about not-for-profit outfits you have to share the revenue with? I'm just curious.
yeah, no, I didn't, it was very vague, what I was able to find on, it was pretty much just this, so.
Yeah, that's not-for-profit, I was,
Yeah, so I'm not really sure what they mean, like,
the challenge is that it is new new regulations under the legislation, so the province hasn't even worked out all the
Yeah.
details. So I'll pull
yeah,
it
there wasn't a
up.
lot online about it. Basically,
looked at
this
it.
was it.
Yeah.
The only transient we've had here is when Melinda and the rest of the staff came to work and there was a tent pitch beside.
And did you charge them a tax?
Not at the time.
Okay.
Moving
And
forward,
then
anything else?
I had number 20, but I have
number
to look.
16, I just
Oh.
comment, I guess they extended that, didn't they, in a further communique about the two-way radio.
Oh,
Yes,
that's
did you
over
not-
here,
They-
yeah.
I got that. yeah,
You got
yeah.
the new one?
Yes, I did.
They
Yeah.
could extend it.
Yes.
Yeah, it's been, till,
Three
what, 2023, I believe?
This one.
3 years.
Here, that just was on the
Oh.
table when
Yeah,
you came
it was
in.
on your table.
Which in some ways is good news,
Yes.
Yes.
because there's a lot of companies out here that still need two-way communication. And I still have the pet peeve of, if they're gonna ban it for everybody, what about emergency service and the
Yes.
police? They're still gonna have two-way communication, that they've gotta pick up a device of some sort. Now, the gist of their legislation is, if you can push a button and communicate, so your hands are still in the steering wheel, it's not a problem.
Yeah.
So someday in the future, when voice activation is a little better than it is now, it'll probably make a little bit more sense.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, I don't know if somebody wants to wade through all the updates on these bills.
Well, unless there's something pressing, I would take it as info for now.
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
Yeah.
just-
And somebody wanted to speak to 20?
No, that was a note to myself, so no. I wanted to research something on that, so.
Well, that is a little bit of a frustration there, but, we've discussed that in the past, and I don't think we'll revisit it right at the moment unless somebody else is looking to do that. Anything else in correspondence?
There's a late one.
Yeah, there's a late 1 and a late 2 behind that,
Oh, is there? Okay.
which is the update on the handheld regulation,
Oh, okay.
Oh,
I
and
did have that
cannabis
tucked away,
revenue
yeah, okay.
sharing?
Yeah, here it is.
and then the letter from Chris Dowser.
Oh, okay, wait, I just saw that. That was on the back of the,
Yeah, of late
Oh,
one.
yeah,
Late one,
okay, there it
okay.
is.
oh, yeah.
Okay, that's it for
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
correspondence. We'll move on. Staff reports. To the clerk's report, please.
So, number one shows significant time being spent on workplace harassment, violence, policy investigations, code of conduct investigations. We completed our emergency management plan review, training, and follow-up, which took a full day, plus all the follow-up's gonna take us some considerable time. Grant applications submitted, the air conditioning for the hall is still in. There is a second seniors community grant program. Should we just submit that? It's starting, I believe. And there has been an announcement, I believe it's February 23rd, February something, that there is another grant out that offers funding for transportation for seniors in rural areas and areas that are underserviced by public transportation. I don't know details yet, but that's coming down the pipe, so we're gonna look into that as well. Municipal office, that was already We've had a gentleman come in, it was someone I've met with before, and he's now closer to a position where he's looking to, develop some property that they own and to create a type of a wellness, center. So I've spoken with him and set him on track to the right places and what they're looking for. It's kind of a yoga retreat type thing. And, they're hoping to do that within the next 2 years. They'd like to be up and running. So, and that's for, in Mackey. We still haven't, set a date for performance appraisal. I have circulated the, forms and staff have completed some of them, so that's something we need to do. Number 7 is the donation to the North Renfrew Family Services, and as I've indicated in the resolution, I believe last year it was $1,500, and that's what we are recommending again. The money does still exist in the donation line, because this is normally what we use it for. And number 8 describes the situation that we found ourselves in with the appointment of the Integrity Commissioner. And again, I can go through it all if somebody doesn't completely understand it. But basically, if you're present at a meeting and you don't have a legislative reason to not vote, your vote is counted in the negative. If there's a tie vote, a vote is lost. So what happened at the last meeting was there was one person left to vote at the table. However, Councillor Villeneuve's vote had to be recorded in the negative. The vote was lost, so the Integrity Commissioner was not appointed. So what I'm suggesting here is, so there's a number of issues. The first one is that you can't bring something back to the council table unless there's something new. Otherwise, people would just keep bringing things back all the time. So what you can do instead is modify your policy, as you can't modify the municipal act, and that's where these other rules are from. So this resolution suggests that you modify section 14.4 of your code of conduct, and that's where council is to choose the Integrity Commissioner, and just give that authority for this one time and then this one purpose back to staff, just to formally get it off the table so we can get this going. And I believe that's all I had in my package. Something else, I don't remember what it was.
Do we vote on the first resolution?
Yeah, I'm gonna bring that up
Okay,
right now,
there we go, okay, fair enough.
regarding the North Renfrew Family Services.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Whereas for the past 2 years, council has provided, or I should say, moved by Councillor Chartrand, seconded by Councillor McKay. Whereas in the past 2 years, council has provided a financial contribution to North Renfrew Family Services. And whereas funds remain in the council donation budget, therefore be it resolved that the Council of the United Townships of Head Clara and Mariah is hereby authorized staff to provide a check to the NRFS in the amount of $1,500. Now, before I call the question or the vote, I should ask, do I excuse myself?
No,
Because my wife is involved with the North Renfrew family.
no.
Okay. So at this time, is there any question?
No.
Seeing none, I'll ask for a vote. All in favor?
Yes.
Unanimously.
Rita, you have a question on the workplace harassment and violence policy investigation, if you're able to speak to it.
Okay, is that the next resolution?
No, it's just a question.
Okay.
I figured I would ask it before we got into the resolution.
That's actually not proper, but
Can't ask questions?
the resolution has to be put on the table before you ask questions about the resolution.
There is no resolution. I just had a question on the clerk's report.
Oh, okay. All right, go ahead.
So how many people are involved
I'm sorry?
on this workplace harassment and violence policy investigation? Are you able to speak to how many people are involved? Or how many charges have been alleged and how much it will
No,
cost?
that's confidential.
Okay.
Moved by Councillor McKay, seconded by Councillor Clara. Whereas due to the number of council members named in code of conduct infractions were renamed, only 2 councillors left to make a decision on the appointment of an integrity commissioner, with 1 member refusing to vote on the decision at the November 14th meeting, resulting in the vote being in the negative, with the vote ultimately lost. And where it is council's best interest to have these matters investigated and followed up in a timely manner, and whereas council at any time may change its own policy through an open vote at the council meeting. Therefore, it be resolved that in order to expedite the matters of investigation into code of conduct complaints, that the Council of the United Townships of Head Clara Mariah does hereby amend Section 14.4 of the Code of Conduct Council, where it states at that time, council will choose an integrity commissioner by resolution to act upon the complaint received, and authorizes staff to appoint an integrity commission for the purpose alone to investigate the complaints filed against members of council. Question? Hearing none, I'll call the vote. All in favor?
Yes.
Yep.
Unanimous, carried.
You're right. If I might, just clarification, Councilor Villeneuve, just further to your question, the cost of the investigation under the municipal harassment and workplace violence policy is a legislated obligation of the municipality. So the number of complaints and the cost of an investigation is irrelevant. The municipality has an obligation to complete that investigation, and it really doesn't matter. So I'm not sure why the question's asked at this point.
Now the treasurer's report, which
There is none.
there is none. My report, which is basically verbal, I attended 2 sessions. I've attended 2 sessions of county council since our last meeting here. I would like to take the opportunity to welcome our county warden back to her position. Jennifer Murphy was re-elected unanimously back into the seat of our county head and chief, which was good to see. We had representatives of MTO at a meeting that says they're trying to do a little bit of work along our stretch of highway this year. They touched on the bridges. They also touched on repaving and a few other upgrades, including pull-offs for trucks, if you can believe that, so people can sleep. If it happens, I'll be surprised, but I think we should welcome it. Again, it's slated for next year, but it's relative for funding.
Yeah.
If they don't get the funding, they don't do it. Other things that have come up is the heritage site for the river. Apparently there's going to be a bigger push on the Ontario side to have a little more recognition done, which I don't know exactly what entails until we find out. So, which is good news. I think that's about it for updating. There's not a whole lot.
I have a question, Mary.
Yes, sir.
Are you getting the minutes of these meetings from, the upper tier, Renfrew County? And also, do you get minutes from, what was it, property assessment or property division? Are you on that board?
I'm not on that board,
Oh,
but
okay.
I don't get those minutes.
Okay, I wasn't sure. I was thinking, I guess, of the previous mayor.
I do get minutes of the meeting,
Yeah,
of the general meeting.
yeah. I don't know if it's worthwhile. Maybe it would be good if we can get a copy, like forward a copy.
I'll talk to Rose and get that happening.
Okay,
The problem is,
They're online.
yeah, it's
Are they
it's online anyway,
okay.
but like,
Well, I
like,
was just thinking Gibson
the
used to.
second
yeah.
last meeting was 411 pages.
Oh, I know.
So
That's
how
the
much do
trouble.
you wanna go through?
No, I know.
Right.
That's the trouble. You wade through all that. We
Yeah.
did that before.
But
so-
if you go County of Renfrew, it is online.
Okay, okay.
Admin assistance report. Crystal,
So last time since my last report to council, I've been working on accounts for invoicing, payments, and creating deposits, and same with tax payments and deposits. I created a blue box flyer. That's the kind advertising that the newspapers allow municipalities free. So that should be in this week's NRT. I'm just have the New Horizons for Seniors program. I'm just finishing up working on scheduling the volunteer appreciation dinner and into my budget.
okay.
Advertising for rec committee and the seniors programming events. Submitted an app to the seniors community grant program, the new grant for 2018 and 19. I finished the cookbook. They've come into the office now, and I submitted the final report for Healthy Kids, so I'm done with that theme of the grant. I completed my IMS 100 training for emergency management online course. I did the emergency management training and exercise. I worked on updating the emergency management response plan and worked on the December newsletter.
Thank you. Moving on to the financial reports.
Yeah.
The check log. Moved by Councillor Chartrand, seconded by Councillor McKay. Be it resolved that the check log to December the 7th, 2017, totaling $55,343.15 be accepted as presented. Question? Hearing none, we'll take a vote. All in favor?
Yeah.
Yes.
Carried.
You want these back,
Yes.
Melinda?
Now, while we've got Crystal running around, I know she's involved a little bit with Noella. Is the economics of the equipment working better now? As far as your,
Tax engine?
yeah,
Yes.
okay.
Yeah, we had a little bit of issues, and I know that they recently reprogrammed, I don't know if that's the right term for it, but the payroll aspect of the system. So she's had to do a little bit of training on that, but I hear that her upcoming reporting is supposed to take a lot less time and be a lot easier.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. Comparative income statement, moved by Councillor McKay, seconded by Councillor Chartrand. Be it resolved that the comparative income statement from January 1st, 2017 to December 7th, 2017 be accepted as presented. Question?
Fill in the blacks.
Hearing none, I'll call the vote. All in favor?
Yep.
Carried. Now, for those of us that were at the emergency management training, I thought it went really well. We learned some more information and learned a few things that we have to do to get caught up, but we're moving in the right direction. Emergency Management Report 1001 bylaw 2017-14. Moved by Councillor Chartraw, seconded by Councillor McKay. Whereas bylaw 2017-14 being a bylaw to adopt the municipality's emergency management program committee and emergency response plan, and appoint a chair of the community emergency management committee, is presented to council to obtain compliance with 2017 regulations. Therefore, be it resolved that bylaw 2017-14 be read a first time, short and fast. This, and we'll change the date to the 19th.
Yes.
Yeah.
Day of December 2017. Question? No. Seeing none, all in favor?
Yeah.
Yes.
I have some questions on, I guess, the background here. Just a couple. I noticed the OPP is unwilling to send their vehicles into this area due to the lack of the extrication services. Are you looking into a rebate or anything in the?
That's what, excuse me, the second resolution is about
Okay.
Authorizing staff to complete the things that are listed in there.
Yeah, because there's one, I really wonder about this, the landing pad too for the helicopters.
Yeah.
Were we getting $3,500 a year to look
They
after
will
that?
pay us up to $3,500, but we have to show them that we've spent the time. Do you know what I mean? They're not just
Yeah.
writing us a check for $3,500.
No, no.
We have to document how many
I
hours
see.
Terry's worked and.
Yeah. I really wonder if that albatross is worth keeping.
I think we're gonna look into that in the
Yeah,
near future.
okay, just.
Staff is gonna find out if they're actually ever gonna use it or not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that was talked about at the
That
emergency
again
management.
is one of the recommendations, so by passing the next resolution, that will authorize staff to take those actions.
Because usually they fly them either to Deep River or Mattawa and triage them there.
And just to the other question that you asked first, I spoke to an officer and he gave me his card, but I guess I left it at home. He's not management authority as far as the OPP goes, but they cannot refuse to come to an accident on our highway.
No, that's,
May I read if I could? I
Yeah.
think the distinction is they're not sending them up on routine patrols as often as necessary. They will respond in emergencies. But
Yes.
what I was told is they're reducing the time they spend up here just doing regular checks.
As long as they reduce the cost, that's fine
Well,
with me.
that's what they're not doing.
'Cause if they're gonna spend less time here, they
you would say,
better
that's,
charge us less time.
2 and 2 used to make 4, but I guess in their case it doesn't.
So if council passes the next resolution, then that's one of the things that staff will follow up.
I think that should be.
Yes.
If we're not getting the service, why do we pay so much?
Yes.
Okay, now, moving on, emergency management compliance. Moved by Councillor McKay, seconded by Councillor Chartrand. Whereas during emergency management training held on Friday, November the 24th, 2017, shortcomings were identified, mainly in the relation to communications which might be addressed in part through increased technology. And whereas a number of operational and communication procedures be modified to better prepare the municipality in the event of emergency. And whereas the funds exist in the 2017 emergency preparedness budget, therefore be it resolved that the Council of United Townships of Head Clara Mariah does hereby authorize staff to purchase the following items: an office cell phone for administration staff, 5 voice recorders to use during emergencies to help keep notes, and further be it resolved that the recommendations include in report 12/12/2017 1001 be adopted by council to take steps to improve emergency preparedness for the municipality and provide direction to staff. Question? Hearing none, all in favor?
Yep.
Yes.
Carried. I just realized that all your dates on your resolutions have to be changed to the 19th.
Yeah.
No?
We just, as I've done in the past, we simply just put at the top that the entire meeting was
Okay.
Switched to the next
Was
date.
delayed,
Yeah.
okay.
So the only ones we'll change
Well,
are the ones on the bylaws.
and the resolved date would be the 19th though, right?
Yes, in the, for the bylaw.
Yeah. Okay. Subject professional courteous conduct policy, report 1002 bylaw 2017-16. Moved by Councillor Chartres, seconded by Councillor McKay. Whereas bylaw 2017-16 being a bylaw to establish processes and policies to direct the expected professional and courteous conduct of attendees at municipal facilities or properties, include council members, has been presented to council for review. Question?
I've been looking at this, and with the policies, the code of conducts we have in place currently, and with the harassment, bullying, and violence policy, I really wonder if we need this. I know we looked at this a year ago, I think October of 16, and it was Wawa, I believe, that
Yes.
it was brought forward about. And I really wonder if we can't alter what we have. And I thoroughly agree with some of this. Like, I do think there's a fine line when it comes with councils dealing with staff and councils dealing with other members of council. And there is a fine line to be courteous and, just hold one's tongue and try to be civil without running into a code of conduct violation. But in the between the ratepayers and staff or council, I think there's sort of a gray area. Melinda, I'm giving an example like that Tannerite issue, Smith Lake, and the guy was very upset. He came in, and I think he was very angry with you, and then somebody else came in, they were angry. And I'm wondering if we couldn't look at it where council members or Mayor Reid could act as a filter. Like, if you have a problem like tree down on the road, sure, just phone up, it's looked after. But if you have a hot button issue, like we've run into in various, from time to time, I'm wondering if whoever ratepayer would be, it'd be better to contact Mayor Reid or one of the council members and have them talk it over and have us help them approach staff if need be, so that we don't get this angry confrontation.
Well, I can comment a little bit on your
Okay.
first little bit there.
Okay.
With the Tannerite explosion.
Yeah.
Which was not the fault of anybody but the person that started.
Yeah.
Because he was told, put it in writing, it'll come to the table, it'll give council and staff a chance to deal with it.
That's what I'm getting at.
He went offhand.
I know he did.
He didn't want to listen to that.
No, but finally,
So
finally
it's
it
not a
worked out.
problem from staff's problem, and it's not a problem from
No.
council's problem, till it's in writing on the desk.
No, but what I was getting at, Mayor Reed, was finally it came through, at least to him. He approached it the right way. He put something on paper. Melinda
Yeah.
saw it going into the correspondence
That's
package.
correct.
And we did,
But it doesn't matter if it's myself as mayor, you as a council member, Melinda as a staff member. If it doesn't come forward in writing, talking about it
oh,
is-
no, I agree.
is like blowing in the wind.
Okay, maybe I haven't been as clear as I should have
Yeah,
been.
because, well, you said maybe myself as a filter or somebody else.
Yeah, but on paper,
But,
you could.
but if it's on paper,
Yes.
it's gonna come to council anyway.
Yes, well, that's right, but maybe help them put it on paper, or suggest, because somebody would be phoning you up and saying, what the hell is that, and you could say, hold on here, what's the problem? Let's put this on paper, go ahead and put it on paper, I'd even help them, and then we'll bring it to council through a correspondence package or whatever.
Which is the way it should be handled.
Yeah, and so I don't know why we need this. If council is stepping into the position, we are actually the interface. We're hired by the public, and I think we should deal with the public as best we can, when we can, to act as a buffer between staff and the public.
Okay, any other
And
comments?
we could take a bit of abuse.
Well, yeah, but they're
But-
not gonna phone us. They're
Yeah,
gonna
that's what I
phone
was just
here.
gonna say. Yeah, the
They
first,
get a tax bill, they got a phone number, they're gonna phone here.
Well, maybe,
Or show up
maybe
here.
we
Or
could,
show up here.
maybe
Yeah.
on the newsletter, we could try to alter this. I don't know.
I think we have in the past, though.
Yeah,
We have put it in the newsletter
Yeah.
that, any major complaints, can't be dealt with over the phone or even in person.
because really,
It has to be put in writing
Yeah.
and presented to.
that's right,
council
because
at a meeting.
Melinda is constrained by our policies and bylaws.
Yeah.
And if it's out of that constraint, she can do nothing but say, I'm sorry, and some people don't get that. And so I'm thinking, if we can handle it to some degree, then we can either alter whatever they want altered, or tell them why we can't do it, and take some of the heat off staff.
Yeah, I think the only
I-
main question to that is, does anybody want somebody coming up and getting into your face about it?
Yeah, I
I
don't
think
mind.
there
I
needs
mean-
to be guidelines that we can show,
Yeah.
But the
people
thing-
need to know there's
Yeah,
this
but-
policy in
that's right.
place.
If you put this policy in place, engaging in reprisals, okay, making gestures to seek to intimidate, well, the guy can come up to me and say, doesn't bother me. I've been hired to take that, because, and I think you were, I shouldn't point, sorry, Councillor McKay, I think one of the questions when you were, petitioned, or you were giving your deputation, was that, just that, to
Yes.
deal with the public. And so I've been called a clown on what are you doing, you clown, you're on council and you should be doing this and that. Well, okay, it denigrates them more than it hurts me. So,
I agree with you in some respect, but I also think that there's gonna be the one person in 100 that you're gonna need this for.
So you-
So
might
if
as
we
well
have
have
it,
it.
it's a tool that we have that
Well-
we can use if we need it.
I'll tell you, some people will take this as a gag order.
And you can't help what people think, but
Well-
that's not what it's meant to be. It's meant to ensure that that our staff and even ourselves don't ever feel that they're being harassed, bullied, or intimidated.
Well, Councillor McKay, I respectfully disagree.
No, that's okay. That's
I
a
know.
democracy, so
I know,
you're more than
that's right.
welcome to disagree.
Okay, well, I see it a different way. I can understand Melinda's position. I do like these letters of warning if it comes down to somebody really hot-headed. But some of the other stuff, it also, what is it, 116, engaging in reprisals for having made a complaint under this policy. Well, I could be cited for this if I do a 360 with Melinda, without getting into details, which I'm just saying, being a devil's advocate here, where does it end? I thought what we have in place is enough of a buffer. In fact, I was asked about this by a ratepayer, what the heck's going on here? Why do you need this? So,
Mayor Reed, if I
Mhm.
could speak to that?
Yes,
Sure.
go ahead.
So part of the reason that you do need this is that not everybody follows the rules. It's here because sometimes code of conduct complaints are made, and when a report comes back that says, yes, a breach did occur, council right now has no tools to use to modify anybody's behavior. Whether it's council member, well, staff, yeah, you get reprimanded, eventually you get fired if you don't. But when it comes to members of the public or members of council, there is nothing there other than the legislation under the Municipal Conflict of Interest Act. And that's what this is here for. It's so that when a report comes back, after it's escalated through the code of conduct complaint or through the harassment of workplace violence complaint process, it's gone to an investigator and now it's come back. Council now can use this as a tool to say, okay, it has been proved that you've done X, Y, Z, so to prevent that from happening in the future, we are going to implement A, B, C. That's all it does. It doesn't add to the code of conduct, it doesn't add to the harassment, all of those policies still apply. This is a tool to use after something has been found after those investigations.
And it's not gagging anybody, it's saying
No.
you have to be respectful. You can state your point.
Well,
You
making-
can,
Yeah,
but you need to be respectful.
Making gestures could be a guy goes, what the hell? Oop. I mean,
Well,
how the
Well,
final line is.
that's
take-
not a
that takes
threatening
both sides.
gesture in my mind. If
No,
you're,
it's not in your mind, but some people's minds.
I think,
it is.
in my opinion, and that's only my opinion in the question, to put this in place, advertise this by sending it out to everybody, doesn't negate the fact that if somebody comes to Melinda in a reasonable manner, or to anybody on council in a reasonable manner, that we can't sit down
Exactly.
and resolve it with a
Yes.
letter to council without any question going on.
But it
This is just a
tool
little
to
bit of
use if
protection.
we
It's a
need it.
tool if
Well,
we
it's
need
just
it.
another layer of protection.
So
I
this
don't
is
think
not
it's
just a
needed.
tool for council,
It's
it's
for
also a
everybody.
tool for municipal staff, municipal employees.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's for
issuing
everybody.
warnings.
Yeah, it's for
So this
everybody.
is a pretty broad power, almost like a sheriff. There's been, there are two legal cases. One that's quoted in this is the Fred Bracken, who basically he was exonerated in court, and he is now pursuing two $100,000 lawsuits against Niagara Council, the Niagara Regional Police, and the town of Fort Erie. He was banned from attending council meetings for 1 year and being outside with his megaphone. So he was charged, then he was exonerated. Second case is McLaughlin and Edwards against Steve Maynard. This is in Mississippi Mills, I believe.
Yes.
Judge has lots to say about changing landscapes, and the legal landscape has changed significantly. That it's, just a second here. A politician being called dishonest or a liar is now so common in our political discourse that it cannot be seriously suggested this would be the type of personal attack that might cause serious harm. Same is true of comparing a politician to a clown or a similar satirical imputation. All of this was in favor of the defendant. Freedom of expression is a constitutional right. If you want to allow that power to municipal staff and employees to make those judgments, probably a good idea to wait until the harassment investigation is completed.
Reed, if I could speak to that.
Yes.
Those law cases that Councilor Villeneuve just quoted, that's exactly where this came from. So the being evicted from the municipal property for 1 year is not mentioned in this document at all. Instead, what I did was took the other conditions that the judge listed in that very court case and use them as the recommended corrective actions. And if you read, it's saying the head of council can exercise, council may restrict, council may restrict. It's not saying that any employee can restrict anyone's behavior. What it's saying is a municipal employee may call someone out. So if I have a person standing up, and I already have this authority, by the way, if somebody comes into that counter and starts abusing one of my staff members, I go up to them and I say, excuse me, but that behavior is not acceptable here, and if it continues, you'll be asked to leave. So that hasn't changed. That's not changed in this policy at all. So I hear very loudly what Councillor Villeneuve has said, but there appears to be some misunderstanding, because those very things that Mr. Bracken was exonerated from are nowhere listed in this document.
But he was sanctioned by council.
Yes, and he was
Yeah.
asked to remove himself for up to a year. And if you read this document carefully, this isn't in here at all. And that document that Jim Gibson shared was exactly where I got this information from.
And this is a tool for us, not for staff anyway.
Exactly.
It's to do something after something happens and is investigated. It's,
So if you look at the cautions and corrective actions and warnings and notice, municipal staff, municipal employees can give you first, second, and after the second notice, have you basically forced to leave the building.
And as
That
I've
is
just
on
Not for a
expressed,
year.
I already have that authority, and I already do that. I've hung up on people on the phone who were being offensive, and I have asked people to leave the office who are being offensive. So nothing has changed there, Councillor Villeneuve.
I guess we only have to look as far as Beaver, the hospital, my doctor's office,
They all,
my eye doctor's specialist office in Pembroke, all have signs up.
yes.
That's what I suggest. we do.
Tolerate is minimal for language, for abusiveness, won't be tolerated, service will not be provided. So
Can we not put a
this is
notice up?
basically the same.
But that's a
Can't we not
policy
put a
first,
notice up?
though.
Put the policy
It's a
in place.
policy,
Put the
and then they
policy.
put
Yeah,
the
but-
notice up.
They're not gonna read this.
No, but you have to make the policy before you can make the sign.
It's a tool.
I don't think so.
there is
It's
a
a
sign.
tool for council to use, Councillor Foot. We don't expect people to read it. What we
That's-
expect is, if somebody makes a complaint, be it a council member or an employee, that gets investigated, the investigator comes back and says, yes, it has been proved that this was harassing behavior, then what? This is the then what.
Well, if it's the then what, why do we have to have the procedure in with all these various, modes of insult, let's call them?
It's definition.
Laughing outside the administrative offices.
What I'm saying is, aren't these all in harassment, bullying, workplace? Weren't they were
Yes,
covered there.
And they're descriptive, that's all it is.
They're
It's in
just
the definition
definitions.
section.
Says right there.
That's exactly what it is. They're definitions. And this is a document that I was asked by council to prepare, so
Yeah.
I'm not sure why there's.
Well,
such
a year ago,
That was
a year
last
ago it
October.
was, I'm starting to look at the number of documents we have referring to bad behavior, let's call it, and I wonder if we need another one, that's all. But I can see your point, it comes down to the end, with the letters of warning, so I really, I'm not convinced, I really am not convinced. So, anyway, Councillor Mayor Reed.
Anything else?
Nope.
Call the question. All in favor?
Yes.
Nope.
Opposed?
Opposed?
Recorded
Yeah,
vote, please.
Councilor Chartrand,
Yes.
Councilor Foot,
No.
Councilor McKay,
Yes.
Mayor Reed,
Yes.
Councilor Villeneuve.
No.
Okay, passed, so. We have to defend it now. So, oops.
Now this is, the next one is regarding
The old Algonquin
the
Trail.
Algonquin Trail again.
Can we not defer this again
And
till we hear?
this is the one that was
David?
deferred.
Yeah,
And I sort of read it over again and thought, until we have our representative here from county to explain it all,
Yes.
that how can we rule on most of it? Part of it we could rule on, and most of it is to get it on the table.
The way this stands, Mayor Reed, and correct me if I'm wrong, but if we voted this, that means the whole rail bed from right through our community, right up to De Riviere, would be out of bounds.
No, that's got nothing to do with it. It's the crossings. We can only stop the crossings. We cannot stop
Well,
the
that-
county permission.
Yes, you can.
Can
Well,
we?
see, here we go.
Yes, you can.
Okay, that part I wasn't
It is
100%
against
sure of.
your zoning bylaw, and it is a not permitted use within the municipality.
Okay, and
On
I
municipal
thought our
land-
zoning was all residential.
That's right, it is.
Yeah.
So use as a trail is not a residential use. A residential use is a home, an apartment building,
Okay.
those types of things. And for those of you who are going to question it, I have confirmation from the municipal solicitor.
Well, we'll see what Mr. Davis has to say. I don't know.
Now, do you want me to read this, or do we want to defer it until we get the representation from the county here?
When are they coming?
Not till January.
January.
January,
Listen,
the first
If I
meeting,
could
January.
just read this one, the trail proposed on county-owned land is not public use and would not be permitted as a right under the bylaw. It is my opinion that the county must comply with zoning in order to have the trail used as proposed. Doesn't comply with local zoning, so the entire length of that trail throughout this community is not allowed as of right now.
Well-
Whether council makes a decision or not, that's just,
Yeah,
Well, I say I'd like to ask county what they're gonna do about it, because that is going to really screw them up. Not this year, because I think we've already made provision, but other years coming, what good is that albatross to purchase? That's, I neither do I. So I would like to defer this and have a little chat with Mr. Davis. It's not gonna change anything, because I think, is the missing link using the,
if you read this
Legacy Trail, yeah.
resolution, what you're actually resolving is say that we notify the county of the issue, we ask for consultation with the county, and we ask for support with the other, I don't know
Yeah,
why
I
this
think that
resolution
we
is
can-
causing so
yeah.
many problems.
It's not like we're saying
putting
no,
the
we're just
process
looking for more
through
information.
to talk to the
Yes.
county.
So I think we could do it tonight.
well, therefore it be resolved that the Council of the HCM does hereby direct staff to notify County of Renton that the use of the lands known as the Algonquin Trail, motorized trail, through them is contrary to zoning bylaw and therefore not permitted.
They've been
Which-
notified that.
Yes.
They've already been
That's-
notified that.
And that's
But
nothing we
that
can
doesn't say
change.
notify, it just says we're not allowing it. So we're drawing a line in the
It says,
sand.
does hereby direct staff to notify.
Notify.
That's exactly what it says.
That's not something we can change. We're residentially, it's,
the zoning
It's
doesn't
just a
change.
fact.
no. So, I mean, it's a fact. It's not something we can
But
change.
how far on this residential zoning can you go when I know we do have what I call industrial development
Okay,
along
before
this road?
we get going too far,
Yeah.
then I better put the resolution on the table,
Okay.
and then we'll get into the question.
Okay,
Okay, this was deferred from November, report 14. Where is it here? Use of the Algonquin Trail through Head Clara, Mariah. Whereas the county, moved by Councilor McKay, seconded by Councilor Chatra. Whereas the county of Renfrew has moved to lease sections of the Algonquin Trail within Head Clara, Mariah, without any consultation with this lower tier community municipality. And whereas council recognizes the potential of a properly planned and managed trail system within the county and is willing to consult on and come to practical system meeting in all needs. And whereas use of the motorized trail through HCM is contrary to the current zoning bylaw and not strictly compliant with the current Renfrew County official plan or the provincial policy statement as they speak to the importance of preference for active transportation, including pedestrian and cycling over motorized trails. And whereas municipalities have the express responsibility under the Municipal Act to protect their residents from public nuisance, noise, odor, and dust, and to overall protect their general health and safety. And whereas the council has concerns with the shared use of the trail by motorized and non-motorized users, therefore we resolve that the Council of the United Townships of Head, Clara, Mariah does hereby direct staff to notify County of Renfrew that the use of the lands known as the Algonquin Trail as motorized trail through the municipality is contrary to the local zoning bylaw and is therefore not permitted. And further that consultations commence between county and the municipality to come to an arrangement to develop a system of trails throughout the Head, Clara, and Mariah which meet the needs of all residents and users, being mindful of property owners' rights, public safety, cost, and municipal liability. And further, the resolution of supporting documents be forwarded to each member of the upper tier council and to the counties of Renfrew, Lanark, Papineau, Cameron townships, expressing council's concerns, as well as all lower tier municipalities in Lanark and Renfrew counties for support. So it's on the table. Question?
So nothing has changed since last meeting, and we did defer to listen to county's presentation. So I would suggest personally that it be deferred till we've heard from county.
I agree to that effect, but really I thought the Legacy Trail was going to be used this year.
This has nothing to do
Yeah,
with.
No,
It's
what I'm
nothing to do
saying,
with it, too.
no,
Yeah.
it isn't, but what I'm saying is, we've made a stopgap measure. So this is just in the future, really. We're saying it's not
Sure.
gonna be used this year, but next year,
Except that right now, the county is working on their management plan, and they're not asking you for your input.
For our input.
Yeah.
We
Well,
never had any
And this is-
consultation with county.
And they're
And this-
just doing it. So all this is saying is, whoa,
Yeah.
slow down, consult with us before you push this management plan down our
Yeah.
throat along with everything else.
We're not saying no, we're saying let's come up with a solution that works together.
Talk to us.
Let's, get some communication going. Let's notify them that it's against our zoning bylaw and not permitted. Let's get the lower tier municipalities all getting on the same page with this, and I don't see why it can't be voted on tonight.
well, you're saying not permitted, that's the bottom line.
Yeah, because it's against
know,
by our
I know.
bylaw.
And then
That's
you
not
go
something we
further,
can change.
The second nail in the coffin for them, for the rail bed, is the class action lawsuit, which could be well pursued by ratepayers in this group. So they've got big problems with this rail bed. But what is sad is west of Yates Road, I don't see a problem with it being used.
It's still residential
Well, I
zoning
know
though.
that, but
So you
still,
can't say it's legal here but not legal there. If it's not legal in residential by zoning, it's not legal anywhere in Head, Clara, and Mariah.
Well, in other words, the 30 kilometers of trail goes down the toilet. End of story.
Yeah, we have 70 or 80 kilometers of skidoo trail throughout the municipality.
A large percent of it is on Crown land.
Crown land
A lot
and
of it's on
private property.
line as well, private property as well.
Not very much of it.
No, this is, it really is a rock and a hard
Some-
place. Because we can't win for losing on this one, really can't.
Well, we voted against the rail bed a couple of years ago, and we got
Well,
a
yeah.
different vote went to county council, or maybe they would have consulted us.
Well, they're
You
going to
were here for
consult,
the
I
meeting,
guess,
you voted for it.
we voted for it because we didn't want them to buy it. They went ahead and bought it, so we're stuck with this albatross.
Well, we
or-
voted
yeah.
against it originally, didn't we?
That's
Yeah,
right.
I know we
Yes, we
did,
did.
but, so that's
did.
history.
But that's not what went to county. So now, let's let them know what we actually
What
want.
our feelings
Well, you
are.
guys can vote on that, I'm not.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
it's fine.
Good. Respectfully disagree.
Exactly. It's a democracy, as they say.
I just, I would rather, I'm not saying no, I defer this to Davis and ask him some of these questions.
But I
That's all
don't
I'm
see
saying.
Well,
how
I
his
think by doing this,
presentation is gonna
we're
change
putting
our
it
zoning bylaw
in their
law.
face, and that might be the only way to get the answer.
Get their attention and say,
Um,
look, we wanna
Th-
hear
this-
what
This
yours.
can be amended at a later date,
Okay, well,
Counselor Foot, you know that.
well, once
The
it's
point
harder.
being is, I wanted to defer it tonight.
Yes.
But now that it's back on the table, we have to deal with it.
Okay,
And I stated what you did originally, that just because we don't want the trail here, doesn't mean that
yeah,
the
that's the shame
existing
of it.
plan down below couldn't go
Yeah.
through. But under county's law, this is all deemed residential. So,
And the government of Ontario.
yeah, so unless we can sit with the county and come to a conclusion on that,
So there should be no industrial development in this area.
I have no idea. I can't answer that. I'm not the official
Well,
plan.
if it's
We
residential.
as a township, and a long time before mine
Yeah,
opposition, and long time before yours,
yes,
this township decided that they were gonna let the county do our bylaws
Yes,
as far
but-
as property management.
Yes, I'm gonna read if I could provide some clarification. So what happened was, the county council, or county planning department takes care of, helps this municipality do the planning work.
Yeah.
However, it is the people sitting at the council table who determines which zoning applies to which piece of land or which parcel of land.
Correct.
So as they developed the zoning bylaw in this municipality, everything was zoned residential until and unless the council makes an exemption and allows another use. So if a shoe factory wanted to come in and build a shoe factory on the property in Bizzett Creek, they would bring their application to this council. This council would decide whether they thought that was a good use of the land, and this council could say, yes, we're going to allow that. Then I'm going to go to the county. The county is going to help me to create the proper bylaws, go through the proper process to allow that to happen. All this resolution does is say, well, wait a minute, you're trying to push this through, but right now you can't because it's contrary to our zoning. Please sit down with us and work this through. It does not mean that in the future, that section can be lumped up into different sections and say, because this is surrounded by other zoning, it's going, or other residential, it's going to remain residential. Because this is surrounded by vacant land, you can use it for your motorized trail. The point is, this resolution is asking for the county to have this discussion with this council. That's all it
Yeah,
does.
because if everybody at this table, and I know a couple of you weren't here at the time, we were circumvented. The county went around us. We were not consulted other than the fact that we're making a trail. Then we find out through the missing link that, oh, there's been an application made.
yeah.
Okay, we were in the dark. We were never consulted. This letter, or resolution, is to kickstart them, to get up here, explain to us what's going on, because I don't think they do themselves, and
Starting to wonder.
and tell us what's going on. And unfortunately, if this is what it takes, and I know there's members of the club here, I'm not against further down for now. If you want to bring that back to us, we pass a zoning law to change the far end, whatever. But for the time being, we're gonna vote on this. So I'll call the vote. All in favor?
Yes.
No.
No.
Recorded vote, please.
Councillor Chartrand,
Yes.
Councillor Foot,
Nope.
Councillor McKay,
Yes.
Mayor Reed,
Yes.
Councillor Billman.
No.
Motion carried.
Okay.
New business.
Oh,
Cost of living. Okay, moved by Councillor Chartron, seconded by Councillor McKay. Annual COLA consideration. Whereas county policy in the past practice has been to award cost of living adjustments to staff salary, municipal contracts, and council honoraria when the October to October consumer price index surpassed 1%. And whereas numbers for Ontario show the increase of 1.3 in 2016-2017, therefore it be resolved that the County Council of United Township of Head Clara Mariah does hereby authorize 1.3% cost of living adjustment based on October to October Statistics Canada's Consumer Price Index in Ontario to all applicable salaries, honoraria, and contracts effective January 1st, 2018. Question?
We've done this in other years,
Yeah,
so.
yeah, this is 1.3.
One
I'll tell
thing
you, council just approved 2% at county.
Oh, they did,
Yeah,
okay.
so 1.3 is a little under that.
I also noted something else that I think it is coming in. The federal government is going to stop allowing us to create a waiver for 1/3 honorariums. That means you'll pay full tax on the total 100%. So that gives you a 7% decrease in your income. So this will help, I guess.
All in favor?
Yep.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, here's another form in my thing.
What's this?
Moved by Councillor Villeneuve, seconded by Councillor Foot. Funding municipal shortfall, 1%, HST increase. Whereas the United Townships of Head Clara Mariah, through the Association of Municipalities, AMO, local share proposal will receive $125,795 in annual sustainable funding, with the County of Renfrew receiving $26,541, no,
26 million? 26,
yeah, sorry, yeah, 26,541,000.
it's a big number.
120, which municipalities will be obligated to invest in planned improvement of the municipality infrastructure. And whereas AMO estimates that municipal governments face an annual shortfall of $4.9 billion during the next 10 years as they struggle to maintain current services and address their local infrastructure gap. And whereas local municipal governments cannot try to close the $4.9 billion gap using property taxes alone, and as estimates show, they would need to double over the next decade, having negative impact on economy, with seniors and low-income residents being hardest hit. And whereas the local share proposal demonstrates that a dedicated 1% sales tax could generate $2.5 billion annually for municipal infrastructure and services, helping to bridge the gap while helping municipal governments manage the upward pressure on local property taxes. And whereas the municipal governments own more of Ontario's infrastructure than the federal or provincial governments, with roads, bridges, and other assets in need of repair and investment that has been delayed due to lack of constant and sustainable funding. And whereas the municipal governments across the county of Renfrew and the province of Ontario need and will encounter or continue to need a variety of dependable, multi-year and sustainable funding source to repair maintain and build strong communities today and into the future. And whereas the Canadian Ontario governments are almost wholly dependent upon municipal infrastructure for the generation of economic activity in our communities, economic activity from which they derive tax revenue and are reluctant to constantly and equitably invest in renewing or improving the infrastructure they benefit from. And whereas this local share proposal will ensure that user of municipal services, residents, businesses, and tourists alike help to pay for infrastructure and service as they are renewed, expanded, or repaired. Therefore, be it resolved that the Council of United Townships of Head Clara Mariah does hereby strongly support the local share proposal developed by the Association of Municipalities of Ontario and believes it to be crucial in the economic well-being of our community, as it will assist in a timely repair, replacement of renewal or municipal infrastructures, which is utilized daily to support the local, provincial, and national economy. And therefore, a copy of this resolution be sent to the Honorable Premier Kathleen Wynne, Mr. John Yakubowski, MPP, Renfrew, Nipissing, Pembroke, Mr. Patrick Brown, Leader of the Progressive Conservative Party of Ontario, Ms. Andrea Horvath, Leader of Ontario New Democratic Party, and that should be party, not Perry. The Association of Municipalities of Ontario and our local municipal councils in the city of Pembroke for support. Question?
Kathleen Wynne says no, does she?
Yeah.
Well, it's worth a try, isn't it?
Well, it's just the fact that we've been downloaded and downloaded
Yes.
and downloaded to death. And do we blame it all on our ratepayers and make them pay for it? Or do we try and get some of that money back from the government? That's the way I look at it.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm wrong, but
No, there's hope too, cannabis. Would we have to change
we'll get to
our
it.
zoning?
Give them 1% and take 3% of the weed sales.
Yeah, we'll get to that.
We'd have to change our zoning for cannabis for the.
All in
Yeah,
favor?
because there's none growing here.
In favor of the 1%
I'm
sales
in
tax
in
increase.
favor of the HST. All in favor?
Oh,
Opposed?
it won't go.
Opposed.
Recorded vote, please.
Councillor Chartrand,
Yes.
Councillor Foote,
Yes,
Councillor McKay,
Yes.
Mayor Reed,
Yes.
Councillor Villeneuve.
No.
Carried. And this has stirred up quite a bit of a controversy. Resolution number 12-17-012, moved by Councillor Foote, seconded by Councillor Reynolds. Employee grid placement. Whereas merit increases may be awarded to employees based on performance as a lump sum or base pay rate as per municipal policy, and grid placement moves according to performance. And whereas the clerk is recommending, based on increased responsibilities and changing job descriptions and exceptional performance, that a retroactive step increase for 2017 and step increase for 2018 be awarded for one employee, and that step increase be awarded for the second employee for increased payroll cost of approximately $1,900 for 2017 and $2,500 for 2018. Therefore, be it resolved that Council United Townships of Head Clara, Mariah hereby approve increased budget spending for the purposes of awarding municipal employees earned step increases for 2018, including the retroactive January 1st, 2017. Question?
I'm wondering if we could look at this at a separate meeting, a committee of the whole. And the reason I'm saying that, I don't know if Councillor McKay or Councillor Villeneuve has looked at the background, but this all began on a special committee of the whole meeting back in 2016, where we agreed that staff basically was about 11% behind in their relative pay scale as compared to other communities. And we did give them, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, Melinda, a 4% increase retroactive to the beginning of 16 for all staff members, and then another 4% increase for 2017.
Councillor Foote?
Yes.
Sorry, this has nothing to do with that. This is annual performance appraisal.
Yeah.
Well, I know that, but I wonder if
This
we
is
could,
year to year.
Well, it
if we
has
could,
nothing to do with the grid and the overall. This is individual performance appraisal, and my recommendation to council to grant these people their step increase. So it's really not
Well,
the
what's
same
happening
thing.
is the clerk has recognized 2 employees that have gone above their, well above their abilities and done a good job. And under circumstances, we don't say raises, we say grid placements.
yeah,
And,
that's where I'm lost, because I have no feeling for these grids anymore. We,
Yeah.
you know, one time we did go through this and hammered out something, but
This
we're
is
out of
simply
date.
a regular step increase. We're not changing the numbers on the grid.
It's not changing the grid, it's
It's an
just a step.
employee who has
Oh, I
earned
know.
a step
Okay.
increase.
Just to move from one level to the next level.
Yeah.
That's all it is.
Any other question?
So normally, step increases wouldn't be retroactive.
They have
It's
occasionally.
for,
Occasionally, but I think under the most part, they've had to have been approved by council.
Yeah.
Under staff recommendation, under the clerk's recommendation.
and in my past experience, if you were suggesting a step increase, there needs to be some kind of description as to why it exceeds performance, because I believe job rate is equivalent to what would be called working level.
But these people aren't at job rate.
Excuse me, Melinda.
That's
Just
the
to
whole
define,
point.
please define job rate, because I think there's
Job rate is
confusion.
the end of the grid.
That's,
These people are not there.
okay, because at ACL, job rate was kind of in the center of the grid, like kind of a, okay, so it's the end of the
Working
grid
level.
when they're at the top, okay.
This is, so, I guess perhaps the second word in this resolution, merit increases, should not be in here because it's confusing the issue. This has nothing to do with the merit increase, this is simply step increases.
Just a stare, yeah.
Yeah,
And that's your purview anyway, isn't it?
yes.
Yes.
She's
So,
just telling us it and asking
Yeah.
us to approve
Yeah.
her decision. Any other question?
So again, I would like a little more information before I would want to approve this.
No, because then you're micromanaging the clerk's job.
I'm just asking for, I have no idea what the changing job description and
That's
exceptional
right.
performance are.
That's
Okay.
right,
So
that's my job.
my job is oversight.
Not as the CAO has made the recommendation.
Whatever.
We'll take a vote on it. All in favor?
Yes.
Okay.
Councilor
Opposed?
Chartrand,
Yes.
Councilor Foote,
Yes.
Councilor McKay,
Yes.
Mayor Reed,
Yes.
Councilor Villeneuve.
No.
Just following that, Melinda, could we not have a committee of the whole meeting to address your pay scale and you know,
But
and
we
iron this out?
shouldn't get,
Yep, but that's not.
we
what
shouldn't
this
get
is about.
confused though between the responsibility of the CAO clerk and our responsibility when we do pay rate for the clerk. It's two
Yeah,
separate issues.
But also, we are responsible for looking at the grid, I believe.
Yes,
if
as the
need
grid
be.
as a whole,
For the-
but,
yeah,
but
as a
not to
whole.
oversee.
Oh, no, no, I
personal
understand
steps.
that. That's, maybe I'm mixing apples and
Yeah.
oranges here, but I'm saying if we can get a committee of the whole meeting sometime in the.
We've
year-
allocated a grid, and as long as the clerk CAO gives the steps within those grid,
That's fine,
right?
that's fine.
And
yes,
nobody
yes.
is at the end of grid yet.
Are they? No?
Some of us
No.
are.
Well,
Some
there
of-
you go.
some of the
That's what
upper
I'm
tier,
saying, maybe
yeah.
we should have a look at this and try to, iron it out. No, I understand. Yeah,
But
I
yes,
was
that
not-
can be done in the future.
Okay, that's, because I got all this information here and all comparisons and so on, but it's old news now. We have to update it. Okay.
This next resolution, Mary Reed, is the one that we spoke about at the beginning of the meeting,
Yeah,
about
the integrated health.
Yeah, the health.
Yeah,
Oh, it's at the beginning?
and that was,
I think I added it to the end of your packages last week.
Yeah,
yes, no, I saw that.
it looks
Maybe I
like,
forgot.
it looks
Does
like
it
this.
look like?
Yeah, no, I've seen it, yeah, yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
Oh, it's possible that I sent the email, but I forgot. to
No, I
print
printed
in
it
your
off, Melinda,
meeting.
but it pretty well, it's the bottom line is. we
But you've seen the email, right? With the
Yeah.
AMO
I did, I
reports.
printed it off, I have a
Okay.
copy here, but
My
it's quite heavy.
apologies, I didn't print it.
No.
It's basically an association that's saying one thing, and AMO saying it's not a
Yeah.
good deal for the, for
I
the,
remember it, but I just don't have
for the
it.
Well, I
township.
have
I
it.
read it
I have it.
on the email.
Yeah, no, I got one in here, buried somewhere. But anyway,
I
That
don't
looks like we
believe
should-
this is time sensitive, is it?
I'm not certain.
We could put it off till
Perhaps,
January's meeting.
Because there was quite a bit of information.
Okay, we'll
So I
defer it
can
to
print
January's
those
meeting.
and-
That way people can reread it and
Yeah.
make sure they understand it. Is that okay?
yeah, no, I got it at home. I can-
Make myself a note. So, Council Foot, Council Billman, you each printed yours, is that correct?
Yes, I have a copy somewhere.
And I have a copy as well.
Mayor Reed, did you print?
I have a copy.
Do you have a copy? So
I
the
need a
two that
copy,
didn't-
yeah. I
Okay.
ran out of ink after I copied everything else.
So we'll just defer it
That
to
sounds
that.
familiar.
And it may have been a matter of when you picked your packages up.
Well, I read it before I left the house, and I thought, that's okay. Okay, it's deferred, is it? Now we're
Closed session.
closed session, or is it, the last information I
camera
got on
or
this, it could be
closed
open or
session.
closed.
Right.
Somewhere. Oh, yeah, that's the coming out of it, yeah.
Yeah, I believe we're gonna go to in camera.
That's up to council to determine.
it's up to us to,
Do you
Yeah.
wanna go to in camera, or are you comfortable discussing this
Right here's
across the
good.
table?
it's good here.
Good here.
Counselor Villeneuve?
I'm good.
Okay, I'm fine with it. It's-
Across the table, it isn't. So. Resolution 12-17-012-B, personal information and identifiable in the code of conduct complaint against employees, whereas the municipal act allows for closed meetings under, okay, we're not gonna go in it.
But
No.
you should read it and then
Okay.
defeat the resolution. It's
We're
the
not
best way to
going
do it.
into closed session. So, but you understand the drift of what we've done.
So do we need to vote that
You
we're
should
not
call
going?
the
Yeah,
vote.
we should vote that
Okay.
we're not going into.
All right,
And then it'll show
so it'll be defeated. Motion to go into a closed session. All in favor?
No.
Opposed?
No. Yeah.
Carried. Denied.
So then C is, 012C then is just not,
It's
not
negated.
applicable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So resolution 12-12-17-012 -D, moved by Councilor Foote, seconded by Councilor Villani. Arising from, okay, this isn't closed session, this is code of conduct complaints against employees. Whereas 11 code of conduct complaints have been made against administrative employees by a council member investigated as per policy, resulting in a report to council. And whereas not one of the 11 complaints were upheld, and the solicitor finding that no employee breached any clause of the code. And whereas since many of the complaints were made in public, the employees against whom complaints were made have provided permission to council to discuss personal matters about each of them as it relates to the report in public in order for the council to use the report as an educational tool. Therefore, be it resolved that the Council United Townships of Head, Clara, and Mariah does hereby accept the report as presented and does further adopt the recommendations, including the report to be implemented immediately, namely the procedure, bylaw, and code to be amended to allow council to direct staff to rescue themselves in certain circumstances in providing advice to council, and the code be amended to make dispute resolution mandatory prior to having a costly investigation completed. And further, that council direct staff to make the entire report public, including the summary, background, investigation analysis, recommendations, appendices, and to be used as educational tool for council members, employees, and members of the public who may share similar misconceptions as the complaint. Question?
I believe that's recuse themselves. Or-
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah,
yeah, you're
yeah,
right,
okay.
recuse, sorry.
It's so seldom used.
Yes, you're right. Any discussion?
No, not released for.
No, I think it should be
No.
released to show
Yeah.
the taxpayers where their dollars are being spent.
All in favor?
Yeah.
Yes.
Opposed? Recorded vote, please.
Councilor Chartrand,
Yes.
Councilor Foote,
Yes.
Councilor McKay,
Yes.
Mayor Reed,
Yes.
Councilor Billman.
No.
Now, you'll mark the resolution because you never left the spot. Do you want me to write it all down?
It's recorded.
Okay, thank
My
you.
apologies. I don't want to repeat too much.
My attitude is all of these investigations should be transparent and reported to the public.
Yes.
Every one of them, including the ones upcoming.
Questions, answers? I'll start off by thanking everybody for being here tonight. A very Merry Christmas to everybody.
Yes.
All the best in the new year.
All the best.
You do.
Anything else to put forward? Okay. Okay, we'll call,
Congratulations, Mayor Reed, for your first almost year in office.
only a few months.
Yeah.
Resolution 12-12-17-013. Confirmatory bylaw, be it resolved that bylaw 2017-15, the bylaw to confirm proceedings of the Council of the United Townships of Head Clara, Mariah, at its meeting held on Tuesday, December the 19th, be read a first time short and passed. All in favor?
Yep.
Yes.
Carried.
That winds it up then?
Pretty much.
Okay, I can make a run, be
Well, we
right
gotta
back.
just do the
More.
closing.
Okay,
We still have to close it.
Close the meeting.
okay. No, I was gonna make a,
12-12-17-014, we'll go quick. Moved by
go.
Counselor Foot, seconded by Counselor Zona. Be it resolved that this meeting adjourned at, what do I got, 10, no,
2042 on my computer.
2042?
yeah, okay. All in
To meet
favor?
again Tuesday, January the 23rd at 2018
Yeah.
at $1,900.
Okay.
All in favor?
Yay, okay.
Carried.
Be right back.